Well, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome. Welcome to the 1905 Annual General Meeting for Cariboo Goldfields Limited. Now, I think our first order of business would be to acknowledge the proven worth, the value of the ground in our possession. Now, you may not know this, but Williams Creek is actually responsible for a full 1/3 of all placer gold recovered from British Columbia to the year 1900.
That's right.
Now, if we're going to chart our company's future, it's imperative for you, our valued shareholders, to have an idea of the great progress that we've made over the past 7 or 8 seasons. Now, initially, our company was able to raise some £100,000 in capital stock, and we've used these funds to purchase up nearly all the very valuable mining property on the lower part of Williams Creek. And with the remainder of these funds, we have continued to persecute these valuable holdings with vigor. Now, the pay channel on our claim is an interglacial pay channel. Now, it's situated some 70 to 100 feet below the level of the creek bed itself. So, it stands to reason that if we fully want to exploit the riches in these gravels, we have to raise them to the surface and deposit them into a flume or sluice box. Now, this process actually gives us 2 advantages. First of all, it creates a grade which allows us to wash the gravel and recover the gold. And it also allows us to move our mine tailings some great distance from the mine site itself. Now, the water table. Yes, there's been talk, a lot of trouble with the groundwater here on Lower Williams Creek, but not to worry. Here at Cariboo Goldfields Limited, we have dealt with the groundwater problem through the construction of a drainage tunnel that runs a full half a mile in length, and I'd say it's doing a rather adequate job.
Oh yeah, the drain's working good.
Yes, now, well, simply stated, Williams Creek is a massive pot of gold. And to fully exploit the riches in this massive pot of gold, we at Cariboo Goldfields Limited have had to embrace the very latest in gold mining know-how and technology. And that is why I'm pleased to announce to you today that during the development phase of our operation, we employed hydraulic elevators to lift the gravels to the surface. And I'm pleased to say that our hydraulic elevators are the largest of their kind anywhere in the world. Now, I've asked our chief engineer, Mr. Grimsby, to prepare a detailed report on the workings of the elevators. Mr. Grimsby, if you wouldn't mind.
Now, the first thing we did was we timbered a shaft 68 feet straight down to bedrock. We then installed 2 hydraulic elevators inside the shaft. Now, the hydraulic elevator, it's like a giant vacuum that uses water instead of air. The elevator is a metal pipe that sucks in gravel, pushes it to the surface, then deposits it into a long flume or sluice box. Now, the power to raise this gravel is generated by water under tremendous pressure, jetted into the bottom of the hydraulic elevator. Now, this water, it came from every available source in the area. We dug 14 miles of ditch line to tap every lake or creek on the mountainside. The ditch line then deposited its contents into a penstock, leaving the penstock as a 3-foot hydraulic pipe more than a mile later. And after a drop of some 800 feet, the 2 18-inch pipes jetted water into the bottom of the hydraulic elevator. Now, this represents more than 2 miles of hydraulic piping to deliver water to our mines. 400 tons of hydraulic pipe was freighted from Soda Creek to Barkerville. Well, I tell you, the cost of freight alone was just ridiculous.
No. The cost of freight was actually very reasonable because Mr. Tingley at Barnard's Express accepted this contract's tender at an extremely affordable rate.
Yes? He earned his money.
Thank you.
Now, as I was saying, the vertical lift from the bedrock to the sluices is 88 feet. In order to push gravel 88 feet up the hydraulic elevator, the water must fall 800 feet through the hydraulic piping.
And just how much pressure does this generate, Mr. Grimsby?
Now, that'd be 363 pounds per square inch, 5,600 gallons a minute.
So we're talking about just a tremendous amount of water under a tremendous amount of pressure.
Oh, no. You gotta double the volume. There's 2 hydraulic elevators. That'd be 11,200 gallons a minute, enough to fill a 12 by 12 by 12 foot room every minute. Now, the water leaves the penstock, goes into the hydraulic piping, drops down to the mine site, building up pressure. It's then encased in another shaft, travels through the gravel, eventually connecting to the bottom of the hydraulic elevator on bedrock. Now this water power, it's used to power the hydraulic elevator as well as the hydraulic monitors. Now when starting the pit, we make an opening in the top of the shaft. We use a water cannon, a hydraulic monitor, direct water through that opening where it falls to the bottom of the shaft, is sucked up by the hydraulic elevator and deposited into the sluice box. Now as the pit deepens, we just make openings lower and lower in the shaft, eventually creating this large pit on bedrock.
Now, to some of you, this project may seem inconceivable in its scope and magnitude. You see, you have to understand that only using the power of water, no moving parts whatsoever, we were actually able to lift some 3,000 cubic yards of auriferous gravel to the surface every 24 hours of the day.
That's right. Now the hydraulic elevators, they used 12,000 gallons a minute. The hydraulic monitors, another 4,000 gallons a minute. This adds up to more than $16,000 per minute.
Gallons, it's gallons, 16,000 gallons of water per minute, thank you.
To run the mine. Now this volume of water was available for 4 to 6 weeks during the spring freshet, but after that.
Yes, after that. Well, actually, it pains me. It physically pains me to have to announce to you, our valued shareholders, and to this country in general, that this initial system used in opening up this mine that is of undoubted value has turned out to be a little bit of
it's a complete failure.
Yeah, well, things didn't work out quite as we had planned, but not to worry. We've had some consultations with the board and the engineering department, and I'm pleased to announce that we have come up with a solution to this particular problem. Now, during the next phase of development here at Cariboo Goldfields Limited, I am pleased to announce that we have once again embraced the very latest in gold mining technology and know-how, this time in the form of the very latest bucket elevator and gold recovery wash plant.
What you see here is a timber framework, and suspended inside the timber framework is a chain of buckets. Now this timber framework is 37 feet wide, 110 feet high. More than 160,000 board feet of lumber were used in its construction, and more than 8,000 pounds of bolts were used as fasteners. Now this chain of buckets is 268 feet long, composed of 82 buckets. Each bucket has a capacity of 2.5 cubic feet. The way it works is, here we have a hydraulic monitor, a water cannon to spray gravel to a gravel bank. The gravel is then directed with the monitor into a short sluice box. The sluice box dumps the pay dirt on top of a 6-inch grizzly. Boulders over 6 inches in size are sorted into the waste box, and the pay dirt falls through the grizzly and into the settling tank. From the settling tank, it's picked up by the buckets and raised to the surface into our wash house. Now this wash house is about 60 feet long. It's state-of-the-art. It recovers virtually all of the gold, and the flume only serves to move the tailings some distance from our mine site. Now it's half a mile long. It's 12 feet wide, it's 7 feet high, it's got a partition down the middle to separate the coarse and fine gravel compartments.
Now, the beauty of this new system is that it's also powered by completely God-given free water. And the water we've accessed is actually able to power the Pelton wheel, which of course in turn lifts the chain of buckets. The same water is used to power the hydraulic monitors. Now, I should mention that the buckets Mr. Grimsby has mentioned here are manufactured by a company called Linkbelt from Chicago. And we use these buckets because they were advertised as being completely grit-free. Yes, well, they didn't turn out to be quite as grit-free as we had hoped. You see, we found that the fine sand that's often suspended in the water here had a rather adverse effect on the moving parts. And initially, the initial bearings also turned out to be a little too soft. Yes, they were too soft.
We had to shut down the entire show after only 263 hours of operation. That's 15 hours, 24 hours a day. So we removed the entire chain of buckets, replaced all the worn parts with chilled steel bearings. No money for skilled labor, just me and 4 flunkies. I practically did the whole job by myself.
Very good work, Mr. Grimsby. Thank you so much. And I should say, thanks to Mr. Grimsby's efforts, we were able to get the plant up and running tickety-boo last season. However, last season also turned out to be one of the driest on record, and the water-starved plant did only actually operate for 2 short months. 6 weeks. Thank you so much. And that, of course, is why we're here today. Well, frankly, we've heard your concerns and we value your opinion. And that is why we realize that as valued shareholders of Cariboo Goldfields Limited, you don't want to sit back and let the fabulous riches here on Lower Williams Creek go unplundered. What is that? What kind of word is
a good word.
Lower Williams Creek go unplundered. And that is why I have been authorized by the board to make you, our valued shareholders, an exclusive offer here today. The board has allowed me to release just a few more shares that are exclusively for sale to our present shareholders. And we are offering these shares at an extremely cut rate. Great value for your money. Now is your chance to own a little more of the company. Each share will be sold to you exclusively for $500 apiece.
$500, what do you say?
What do you think?
Ooh, that's a chilly breeze.
Yes, Mr. Grimsby. I think winter is arriving a little early this year. Well, in that case, due to the lack of enthusiasm, frankly, that we've received here today, I must now announce on behalf of the Board of Directors of Cariboo Goldfields Limited that we will be liquidating all the physical assets of the company. We're selling it all off, the Pelton wheel, the whole works, the buckets, they're all going. If you do have any questions about your shares or potential dividends, please contact us in writing. And of course, you're always welcome to drop by our offices anytime. The door is always open. Our offices are located in London, England, so good day.
No. What about my job?
Your job? Ah, yes. I'll write you a glowing reference, Mr. Grimsby. Good day.
Well, that's mining. Any questions?